Group was recently renamed Barclays Africa and is one of South Africa's largest financial services groups. London-listed Barclays Group now owns 62% of Barclays Africa. It has a market cap of 117 billion rand, price-to-earnings ratio of 10.8 and a dividend yield of 4.5%. Firstly, what do you think of the branding exercise and the change, Paul?
I'm very positive about the Barclays Africa concept. I would not have been positive at all about ABSA because, again, all the problems I referred to, plus what my sense is maybe a bit of a declining market share in certain core areas like mortgages where they were very strong, loss of lots of leadership under Maria Ramos. But I think Barclays Africa changes everything because people don't realize exactly what has been bought here. I listened to a couple of radio interviews when they finalized the deal, and people said, well, are you now going to be looking at Africa? That's exactly wrong. The assets they've acquired have been there forever. So in some of these countries, they are as old as the financial services industry is in those countries. And now what you have in Barclays Africa is a listed entity which gives you all of that stuff in one fell swoop. Look, you didn't get it for nothing. They diluted, and that's how Barclays now went up from 55 to 62%. But I just think the net result, the combination, is a much, much better organization share to own than the thing that you had before.
Well, your excitement is tangible. Singa, do you agree with him that this is certainly the way to have gone?
Yes, I agree with him. I think ABSA, now that they've completed this transaction, they can focus on consolidating their African business into one, and then they can also focus on the South African retail business and their other portfolio, which they have a strong presence in. So I think the new name really brings a good brand to the company, and I think it will do well from here.
Maria Ramos, you mentioned her, Paul, and I didn't quite pick up what you were saying there. You'd like to elaborate?
Look, she's great. She is a very talented administrative leader of a large and complex organization of that ilk. I think one shouldn't underestimate the strategic contribution that this group has from London and from Barclays, because the perception may be because British banks have largely failed in the last decade that those people are idiots and they know nothing about banking. That's not true. There are lots of British people, because they've been doing banking since like 1630 or something. They know a lot about how to run, how to do product, how to do technology systems, and there are a lot of Brits from Barclays that are operative down in Johannesburg city centre, helping make sure.
So you're a Brit optimist then?
Look, I just think, brains are what brains are. A lot of these markets are much more complex than ours. So you can roll out products that were used to develop in a 60 million retail customer environment like the UK in South Africa, knowing what the problems are that could come up before the others have even realized what those problems might be.
Singa, taking into consideration the discussion we've just had on a Standard Bank and Paul's excitement about Barclays Africa and their traction for many, many decades on the continent, do you think that actually Barclays is going to take the cake, so to speak, on the continent?
Yes, Barclays has got a strong capital position. They've got great technological systems within their realms. So I believe that that's their strategy. They are gunning towards that. It may not happen now, and you must always remember that Africa is a long-term story. It's a long-term play. Everyone must still study the market very well before they can launch into breaking new grounds.
You can't see the share price correctly on that graph. I see we're cutting it off halfway on the screen, so we must find a way to rectify that. But Paul, if you look at the share price at the moment, talk to me about that.
Look, it's been a bit up and down recently because this whole sector has. Plus, remember, about 8 or 9 months ago, they had some sort of shock provision for bad debts in their mortgage book locally, which looked a bit iffy. But the market liked this deal with Barclays. I think the issue really for me is we have now a honeymoon period where we're going to see the enlarged group deliver perhaps a bit more excitement, a bit more earnings growth. It's going to have these subsidiary operations, which creates a new exciting story. Having said that, that doesn't mean that I want to put all of my money on this particular sector forever. So I'm a bit ambivalent here. I'm liking the particular opportunity for a couple of months
because
maybe.
At the top of this discussion, you said you didn't like the sector at all. Are you confusing me and the audience?
Now, I guess what I'm trying to get across is I like the moment related to this transaction. but I'm not necessarily falling in love with this sector or this company forever.
Thanks
I just
for the
like it for like a
clarification.
year or so.
You weren't doing it very well up front. Singa, let's talk about Barclays Africa leadership. Are there any concerns from your perspective as we go forward with this story?
Look, in terms of leadership, they have been changing their main core recently, and I think now they have younger guys with much more ambition who want to prove themselves, and they can turn around the company. So in terms of leadership, the support is also coming from the Barclays group is quite good and strong, so I think they will do well.
Hot or not on Barclays Africa, Paul?
Yes, look, and on that management thing, Wendy Lucas-Bull is the chairperson of the board, and she's worked at every single bank in South Africa, so that should help from a competitive point of view. I'm hot on Barclays Africa, at least for the next sort of 3 to 5 months as the results roll through.
I'm not asking for time clarification here. Hot or not?
Hot,
That's it,
yes,
period.
no, hot is good.
Good,
Hot is
Singa, hot or not?
I'm hot on Barclays.